Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about fins. The biggest thing you can do to improve your surfing is change your fins, and it's to understand your fins. And I get a lot of people who they say to me, oh, I don't know anything about fins, I don't really understand them. You definitely do. You understand so much more than you let on with fins, and all you have to do to prove that to yourself is try different fins, and then you'll start building a picture of what they do in certain conditions and what you prefer in certain conditions. I give you a surfboard. I say this is the best board in the world. All you got to do is ride it. It's so good, you don't even need fins. You know I'm chatting shit because you know how important the fins are. And we all go on about the performance of a surfboard, but the performance of a surfboard can only be released if you've got fins in the board offering you that traction to hold you to the face of the wave. You can't hold the board just on the rail alone, you need those fins. This video is aimed at people who say they don't understand fins but want to up their game in their surfing and don't necessarily want to buy loads and loads of different surfboards to do it, and they want to look more in depth about how they can utilize their fins to get a bit more out of your board. Today I am going to talk about fin shape, fin size and fin construction. So those three things we're going to talk about today. Although there's nuances in different fin setups, which is a whole new video, single fin, twin fin, quad, thruster, 5 fin, 2+1, all of those things. I'm only talking at the moment about thrusters, but the concept of how fin works goes across the board. It's all the same. Don't let this video confuse you. I am going to be using FCS fins as an example, and I also decided to wear an FCS t-shirt, and it says something like they support 1% of the ocean or something, and I don't even know what that means. I'm not affiliated in any way to FCS2. I like them and I use them personally, and I use them on my own fourth brand. I'm perfectly happy to put other fin boxes in like Futures. I think that there's so many fin brands out there that can give you better price points than FCS and lots of different options. So there are other fins available. I'm just going to talk about FCS2 because that's what I know the most. That's what I have to hand. And it's going to be honest, you know, it's always honest. So I'm going to write them off a bit in this video too as well. So watch this space. Right, I'm going to try and draw a fin. It's not bad. It's not good either. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the fin shape. There's lots of slight tweaks and variations to fin shape. We're going to talk about the basics of movement and how fins change. Let's just call this a generic middle of the road fin. We can have the fin more upright, less raked back, more upright, therefore more pivoty in the water. Then you can also have something with more rake. That means the back cut out, which accentuates the tip of the fin. Then you can have variations in the middle. Sometimes you can have, you know, dramatic add-ons that basically offer more surface area. Anyway, before I blab on about all the different shapes you can do, let me just talk about the basics. Something that's more upright and has less rake is gonna offer less resistance when you get your fin on rail, because it's effectively falling straight down in the water. So when you turn, it doesn't really increase much surface area. We would call that more of a pivot fin, meaning that you don't have to add as much torque and force yourself to get your maneuver going. So it's a bit of a looser feeling, and it's a bit more of a reactive feeling. It's more quick release, so kind of skatey and flicky and kind of off the tops. You tend to see this sort of fin for the most part suited to weaker waves where you're having to generate your own speed. You don't want to lose as much momentum, that speed, out of your turn. So a looser fin with less resistance going sideways would really kind of help with that. The other fin, which tends to be more popular with your powerful surfers who generate a lot of their own speed and offer lots and lots of power, that's something that's got more rake. So the tip of the fin is further extended here and there's less in the back. The two main things that does to your fin is it increases the area of fin when it's sideways, which gives you more resistance and more push. There's less release and pivot, and it's more of a drawn out kind of hold through your turns. And then it obviously offers more flex now in the tip of the fin, which again adds to that hold on rail. So basically for pushing a little bit harder and having more control. Those different shapes are noticeable across the board. You don't have to be a good surfer to notice the difference in fins, and this is the key. A lot of people that say, oh, I don't really know the difference in fins, it's because you're not trying. So you're not getting a good enough concept. You could think that pivoty fins are only for small waves. No, I like pivoty fins in big, powerful waves because I'm putting less force on the board and I'm trying to put the board in different areas of the wave. I guess less aggressive. When I'm in bigger waves, I like to have little resistance against my fin so I can just put it places and then get my turns going there. I'm not forcing anything too much. Some people generate lots of speed with their front foot and not as much weight on their back foot through their turns, so they might prefer a pivoty fin because there's less hold in the back half of their board. And then people that generate lots of power, especially off their back foot and lots of lift and are always gaining their own speed, tend to prefer these more raked ones. So most of our team riders and most good surfers, they tend to have that slightly more raked fin, a really go-to set for a lot of the surfers. The Mick Fanning set from FCS, and then like the Carvers and that sort of shape, because they're giving you a little bit more hold and they're allowing the board to have more lift and to maintain that control with that fin. It's not cut and dry. You don't have to be any sort of level of surfer to appreciate what a different fin shape does. You just have to have style, front foot, back foot, what you're trying to achieve on the wave, and you will find a fin that you prefer in certain conditions. The next thing I'll talk about is fin size. This is the one that kind of bugs me. When you get the packet of your fins, it will tell you that these are extra large and that they're for 90 kg plus people. And then a medium set, it's for 65 to 80 kg people, which is 15k. It's a lot of difference. But this is wrong. Fin companies are wrong when they market the fins in weight. What you're really doing is you're offsetting the torque you're putting in and the lift that you've designed on your surfboard. The more lift you've got in a surfboard, the more fin you're going to need to hold you through turns, and the more torque you're putting in, the more power you're putting into your surf, the more fin you're going to need to kind of hold out and not just pop out and lose control, so you can maintain drive and keep the rail in while you're doing your turns. My son is 36 kg. He's this big and he surfs a 410 shortboard, 36 kg. He rides medium fins as his go-to kind of size, and then sometimes we change it up and he'll have large fins in the side and a grom fin in the back, and then sometimes he'll have a medium on the sides and a small in the back. At the moment, he's just got to the national finals with a twin fin with XXL Mick Fanning, you know, the 2+1 fins. He's 36 kg. I'm having to design his boards with lots of lift. So small, he needs the board to stay loose and really sort of maneuverable. If I put small fins in that board, he doesn't get any traction and drive. He can't perform his maneuvers, so he needs the bigger fins. The torque to weight to maneuver ratio is what's driving the size of his fins and the shape of his fins more so than his weight. Do not be afraid to have a wide range of fins in all sizes. Joan is, I've forgotten, 70, isn't it? 70 kg, yeah. And he's a really good surfer, and he's always ridden large fins as your go-to.
For like the last 5 years at least.
And you've put on weight. He should be on mediums. He's on larges for the majority of what he's surfing. I surf mediums in big, powerful waves on my mid-length, and then I surf XL sides with a large rear in small waves on my smaller boards. This isn't because I'm a really good surfer and I need the different fins to get the most. It's because it helps me, because it makes life easier to surf better. So utilising those different sizes in different areas can really, really help get the most out of your board design. A really good tip for me is small waves. You actually want bigger fins because you're trying to generate your own speed. You're staying really, really proactive. So I like to have bigger side fins and then a smaller rear fins. Let's say I ride mediums normally. I'm going to take my medium side fins out and I'm going to pop large side fins in. That's going to give me something more to push against when I've got my rail in to hold me against the face, so I can get more lift and more speed and more drive through my turn. Something more to push against when I'm like maxing out my torque. Then when I'm in big waves, I like to drop my fin down because I'm going to have more rail length in my board. The wave's so much faster, so I want to offer slightly less resistance against my fins. Big wave surfers, they don't have huge fins in their guns. I remember Tom Butler going to Nazare and I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, you only ride medium Kelly Slater 2.1s in your gun? He's like, yeah, so that's what feels good to me. Good surfers inherently test fins out and go with what feels good. Normal surfers like us, we go, I'm not going to notice the difference, and we just stick to one set. It's madness. If you really, really want to have a vast array of options for your surfs, if you've got 3 different sets of fins and one surfboard, you actually have 3 different surfboards that you can try that will work in certain conditions. So I highly recommend different sizes at the very least. The last thing I'm going to talk about, this feels so ranty, this video. Come in. I can see your mullet just... Tom only rides single fins, he's got a mullet. Even when he's riding a thruster, he'll just have 3 single fins.
I'm literally getting my first single fin ever.
There you go, see what I mean? getting a single fin. Right, where was I? Construction. What the fin is made out of. This is kind of important. So it is fair to say that the thinner your fin is that way, when you're going forward, the thinner the fin is, the less resistance there is. And the less resistance you have, you're going to be able to utilize the hold from the fin more to generate speed and have an extra amount of speed. So the thicker the fin, the more resistance, the more you're going to have to push against it to get it going through the water. And usually, thinner the fin, the more flex there is, because they don't have materials that will maintain its structure when they're really, really thin. FCS have written this kind of flex thing on the packet. Yeah, like a flex scale. Like, I'm not sure it's very accurate, because I actually find some of their fins that they say are less stiff, a bit more stiff. But they're H4s, the carbon composite ones, which you can get in H4s, and you can get them on the Mick Fanning 2+1 twin sets. They're really thin and they're really, really stiff. And I think that setup is amazing for making a larger board more reactive. So I use these in my mid-length a lot. You can manipulate a larger board better without sliding out. The weight of your fin and the flex of your fin are going to go and make the most of different shapes. Construction makes a massive deal. Weight of the fin, drag of the fin, and the stiffness and flex of the fin are all going to be governed with the construction. So make sure you're trying different constructions as well. It makes a lot of sense for you to have a different array of flexes with your fins, because like I say, you don't have to be a good surfer to notice the difference. I ask all of you to go and surf a really cheap naff set of plastic fins in your favorite board and tell me if it feels the same. Tell me if you can't feel the difference. Then try some pivoty fins in it. Then try some large fins in it if you ride mediums, or mediums if you ride large. I guarantee you're going to feel the difference of these. If you practice enough and try enough different fins, not only will you notice the difference, but you'll start being able to utilize the differences in certain surfs, in certain boards, to maximize the board's potential. This is a message for fin companies. Stop putting the weight on this, because this confuses people and makes them feel like they're boxed in. And then offer different fins. Why can't we get double XL thruster sets? Why can't I buy 2 extra large carvers with a medium performer as a set? That will really help me surfing. Why are all pro models kind of look the same? Why can't we have some real differences so we can really utilize what fins do for our boards? I want to see more options in sizes and maybe constructions, and then some mixer sets as well, because I think that would really, really help. And I'm going to recap. The more upright your fin is with the less rake is going to be a more pivoty fin. Then if you get more rake in your fin, you're going to have more power and torque and hold through your turns, and it's going to create a slightly longer arc in your turns. The same is true of size. Bigger the fin, the more resistance, the more you're going to be able to push against it. The smaller the fin, the less resistance you need. So I hope this helps. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments.